Liverpool 4, Newcastle 2. And I have to say it, Jurgen Klopp's men, Liverpool Football Club, are frightening. 32 attempts on goal, an XG of over 7, the highest on record ever for a Premier League team. 5 points clear of defending champions, the treble winners, Manchester City, and a Mo Salah masterclass to boot. This was nothing short of an absolute beatdown, a beatdown of Newcastle, who have now, by the way, lost 7 of their last 8 games in all competitions. It is as simple and it is as straightforward as that. This Liverpool team are frightening. This Liverpool team are dangerous. We know they're in the title race already, and they are fast, in my opinion, becoming the favourites to lift this Premier League title. What an absolutely exhilarating display from them today. We're going to go through it and break it all down. Yes, there's some controversy around the penalties. I'll give you my opinions on them, but I want to garnish the show with your takes. I want to understand what you think, what you feel regarding this match as well, the title credentials of this Liverpool team. But I wanted to start off with Mohamed Salah. And I wanted to start with Mohamed Salah because only 2 weeks ago, and funny enough, I tweeted about this and I got thick for even bringing it up as a conversation. But we had obviously Lee Gunner, massive friend of the show. There's other Liverpool fans out there that were saying Salah is finished. You should sell him. He doesn't offer enough anymore. I thought at the time that was a crazy take. I thought at the time it was reactionary and very, very premature from Liverpool fans to think this. I kind of get it from Lee Gunner. Lee doesn't rate him, so I understand. But Mohamed Salah, I've said it again. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Mohamed Salah is the greatest Premier League player in Liverpool's history. That, for me, is not an opinion anymore. It is a cast iron fact. The consistency that he delivers, the amount of goals, the amount of assists, the amount of performances like today. Today was in a catalogue of brilliant performances from this man. It really is. And what we saw from him, his creativity, some of his passing, some of his dribbling. Of course, there was the goals that he scored as well. One was a penalty. One was a tap-in. But it was a more well-worked piece of football. And I hate saying this as a Man United fan because he's Liverpool. I'm in awe of this guy. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think for as great as he is, he's one of the most disrespected top-class football players I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand. I think what it comes down to is that he was grouped with a handful of players maybe 5-6 years ago, and most of those other guys have faded. They've never reached the heights they should have done. And Mo Salah maybe isn't the most aesthetically pleasing of them all, but because he is the one who's delivered, because he is the one that's actually lived up to the hype, people just can't accept they were wrong. They have to find ways to hate on individuals. That's atypically how human beings operate. So he does deserve a lot more respect than he gets, especially when it comes from rival fans. This is somebody who is going into the GOAT conversation of Premier League footballers when he retires. That is how good he is. And I thought he was absolutely sensational today. But Liverpool as a whole are just... We're just out of this world today. And I understand that it did at some point, it looked as though the game, Newcastle might catch it. They did score on the break. Newcastle scored twice, by the way, against the run of play. And they could have won this match. Darwin Núñez just could not finish his dinner. The irony of Gakpo's goal, right? When Darwin had hit some brilliant shots. But Liverpool didn't stop. They were absolutely cutting Newcastle to ribbons. And sometimes you have those games where you think they're going to rue these missed chances in a minute and they're going to be caught, become a cropper, they're going to lose. It didn't feel like that way for me today. It always looked like Liverpool were going to do something crazy. It always felt like they were going to score 3, 4, 5 goals. And if they'd have scored some of their early chances, then missed a bunch and scored another one at the end, nobody would be saying they're lucky or how did this happen? This was one of the best Liverpool performances I've seen in years. And for me, it is a marker that they are not just in this title race, but they are almost, for me now, in my own personal opinion, almost neck and neck with Man City to be favourites with this 5-point lead they have. Yes, there's a game in hand, but game in hands need to be won at the end of the day. But Liverpool look great. They look frighteningly good today. And I will say this about Darwin Núñez. I'm sure the panel will bring this up. I get the missed opportunities and not finishing his dinner is frustrating. But I think Liverpool should stick with this guy. I think there is such a quality player within him. And although they scored the majority of the goals after he came off, there was an element of the dynamism that wasn't quite there. They just had more killers on the pitch. They've got to find a way of unleashing that killer instinct, that finishing touch. And I believe that can come. He's still very, very young. But overall, as I say, an absolutely dominant, frightening performance from Liverpool. Now, of course, there's controversy around the penalty. The first one, I think, is a penalty. Yes, he takes a step afterwards. He's off balance, but there was definite contact. Penalty. That's it. The second one, I'm going to be honest with you. There is contact. There's such a delay in the player going down. I think he tries to stay on his feet because he thinks I'm going to score. Then he can't. And he falls and throws himself to the ground. By the letter of the law, there's contact. So you can call it as a foul. I do think that was a little bit harsh on Newcastle in terms of the way Jota went down, but it becomes a really interesting debate because he was fouled. He was clipped by the goalkeeper. Therefore, he has been knocked off balance. If he isn't clipped by the goalkeeper, maybe he gets to the ball and taps it in. So there is an argument in both directions. However, I think if Liverpool conceded that same penalty and it went 3-3 and they drew the game, I think Liverpool fans would be fuming. So it's one of those where if you get it, you go, well, he got clipped. It made him off balance. If you concede it, you think it's absolutely harsh. I thought overall today, the referee and VAR were absolutely brilliant. There a couple of really close offsides, 3 actually, but Gakpo's goal. All of the decisions by the on-field officials were correct. I thought the temperament of the game was very well managed. And I've really criticized referees as of late, but I didn't think today they necessarily got too much wrong. I just would have maybe not given that penalty at the end. But I could be being a little bit harsh there. I'd love to get your view and opinions on that. Not as a cheat, end of, could have, just score it. I don't know what that means there, my friend. Terry, it was an open goal. Why would he dive? I mean, you have to watch. I mean, listen, let's not get twisted, Liverpool fans. He definitely threw himself to the ground, okay? We've all played football. We all know what that's like. But yeah, he was clipped. He was fouled. And I understand it. All I would say, yeah, I get it. There is a part of me, though, that just, and maybe it's just the way I view sport in general. You know, like in tennis, when a player hits a ball and it clips the net and it falls down the other side and they get the point, but they kind of apologize for it. That's how that sort of felt to me. Yes, it was a foul, but the way he went down, it's just a little bit magoo. But I wouldn't necessarily say, I don't think Newcastle have been robbed by any stretch of the imagination at all. You know, when your best player of the day is Dubravka, that tells you everything you need to know about the game. It's as simple as that. There's some super chats here. First one says, we need an attacker because without Salah, these other guys are not clinical enough. We got the goals today because Salah basically forced us to score. This is my prediction. The last time Salah and the last time Mane went away to AFCON, they both got to the final as well. It was predicted that Liverpool would absolutely die a death. And it was actually a really good few weeks. Won all their games, scored goals. I think some of these players will step up. Sometimes it's easier. Look what's happened at Spurs this year. No Kane, what's going to happen to him? Son scoring. Richarlison's now scoring. Kulusevski's got back to scoring. The team looks better without Kane. Not because Kane was a problem, but because sometimes it can be galvanizing. So I think rivals going, your team's going to fall apart because Salah's leaving. All you're doing is galvanizing that team. This is one of those moments where you should keep your mouth shut as a rival, say nothing about it, and maybe you'll get your wish come true. Loose lips sink ships. It's as simple as that. So I think Liverpool will be okay without him. Plus, there's 2 weeks without Premier League games now as well. If that Jota dive is a penalty, every game is a robbery. That is what IFL has got to say. Listen, it's a fair opinion to have IFL, but I will remember what you're saying. And if your team, I think you're a Man City fan, if you get a penalty that way and you're not calling it a dive and calling your own players out, it becomes hard to take you seriously. Anthony Taylor couldn't control an under-15 match. again, there was some dissent today. But I didn't think he really got a lot of the on-field decisions wrong. I didn't. I saw players on both sides kicking off at certain things. I'm sitting there watching it with my brother. I'm like, I think that's right. And I'm normally harsh on refs, to be fair, but that's just my view. Firmino in the stands was jokes. Dubravka, what the hell? Listen, Dubravka was class today. I felt a bit. I feel like he personally didn't deserve to lose today. Salah is a scouser. It's wet out there, and we set the rain on fire. Oh, yeah, that song. Spurs and Arsenal gone different with VAR. It could have been 10 clear. Salah scouse, not going anywhere. Listen, Salah is your greatest ever Premier League player, 110%. The only defense I can give Nunez is that he is still younger than what Salah was when we first signed him. I want him to work, but it's tough at the moment. It's funny because when he came off, I was watching the game with my brother, and we were like, for about 10 minutes, you didn't look as dynamic. And then between Jota and Gakpo, you're basically getting all your goals, right? Like, yeah, but those guys come on and were more clinical. And that's the only area that needs to improve. But I think he hasn't got a bad shot. It's not like I think there's like a nervousness about him. Does that make sense? And I think that can be coached out of him. I really do. Endo, what a signing. He's Liverpool's savior. Salah is irreplaceable in the world. No one can come near him. What a Liverpool living legend. And that's not a pen. Thank you very much, Karen, for your opinion on that. Thank you for being honest as well. Listen, I think Endo has improved so much in the last few weeks. He looks like listen, you guys might not end up buying a DM now in January. I think you might refocus that money elsewhere if you indeed buy, because he's starting to step up. And I'm not saying you shouldn't buy another DM, but maybe you won't do it in January now. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for renewing your membership with the Terrace. It means a great deal to us. By the way, if I haven't said it already, Happy New Year. I know I kind of said it yesterday. Happy New Year to everybody. I wasn't on the top 6 show earlier today, basically because I was recovering from a hangover. I was exceedingly drunk last night. When I woke up in the morning, I didn't have any hangover. Turned out I was still proper drunk. Then I tried cooking a Sunday dinner, and I had to have a sit down. Man, I had to have a sit down, bruv, because honestly, I thought I was going through the menopause with the hot flushes I was getting, bruv. It was a madness. So I had to sit down, and then I run KJ, and I'm like, bruv, you're going to have to host a show because I can't see straight right now. I also, because I was still drunk, I couldn't drive from where I was to where I work. So I had to go sleep, sleep it off. But I'm back. So I only pulled half a sickie today, but I am the boss, so I'm allowed to. What about Longstaff getting fouled in the box? That's an interesting one. He was clipped. It was an accidental coming together, in my opinion, not a challenge. The player didn't ask for a foul. No Newcastle player asked for a foul. I don't even hear the Newcastle fans ask for anything. There was a coming together. I don't think it's a foul. It lost control of the ball anyway. So for me, that's not a penalty. So many yellows for dissent. It's just unnecessary. What, the dissent? No, listen, I want red cards for dissent. We had one. I'm going to be biased. By the way, I have to say, did you see what young Millie got booked for? Won the ball against Mo Salah, but followed through and got booked. I was called a hater and delusional the other day when I said, when Martinez, the goalkeeper of Villa, did that to Rashford. And I said, well, why is he allowed to do that? Because he's a goalkeeper. Outfield players get booked for that. It was like, no, Terry, no, they don't. No, they don't. They're great tackles. I've seen 2 this weekend. It's crazy. You've got to book everyone for it or no one. Joe Linton should have been off and defo a pen, is what Woodsy says. 7.5 XG versus 0.7. We have seen that before. Fuck off. I mean in the summer, by the way, not for AFCON. Oh, okay, right. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Endo masterclass again. Caicedo taking notes. Liverpool, like Colombian drug plane flying around under radar. Yeah, again, I just don't think Liverpool have been under the radar personally, but I get why it appears they're under the radar because most people are writing them off. Terry, keep up the good work. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not going to walk with you, by the way. I want to be alone when it comes to Liverpool. That's me, that with respect, but thank you. I'm a Liverpool supporter. It's a cheap penalty, but as it is today, they give penalties for this. Personally, I don't like it. It's a very fair assessment there from Morton Pedersen. No matter what team you support, put respect under Mo Salah's name. He's a Prem legend. That's a penalty, but Liverpool winning anyway. Stop hyping robbery. That's what Curran says. Should Liverpool worry about Endo leaving for the Asia Cup? Yeah, I mean, probably. That in some respects could be more damaging than Mo Salah, because Mo Salah is your best player. But the collective, yes. But I do think with McAllister coming back, I think he'll be okay. I really do. Terry, Happy New Year. Cheers. Thank you, Curran. I appreciate that, mate. And all your super chats and support recently. It means a great deal to me. Thank you. Only team getting favourable decisions this season is City. So IFL pipe down. He'll disagree with that. Liverpool are top. I think cry harder rivals. They are top. And I know it's 3 points over Villa, but I'm going to be really disrespectful. I'm just looking at how far ahead you are in Man City. And a few weeks ago, I did that with Arsenal. Everyone's going, you're just an Arsenal lover. No, City are the favourites. So right now, I'd be looking at how far you're ahead of them. I wouldn't even worry about anybody else right now. They're the team to beat still with where they sit. They're probably going to win their game in hand and be 2 points behind you. So that's what you've got to focus on. 5-point gap over Manchester City. 13 wins from 20 games. 43 goals scored as well. Frightening. Liverpool are frightening. And this team's going to get better as well, by the way. They're not even at their peak, in my opinion. Slow-mo shows Jota is clipped by the elbow. Yeah, definitely. There was contact. 110% Faraz. 110% there was contact. No Mo Salah next 3 Premier League games. Terry, the title is City's. You're the favourites. It's still Man City's title to lose. And what I found really funny in the last few days is Man City fans who are talking like they're some sort of underdog. We had City fans on their match reaction Saturday. They actually said, I can't believe this Man City team's only 2 points at the top. Can't believe we're in third place. We're doing so well for a team like us to be in third. I was sitting there thinking, nah, you guys ain't, you ain't doing that. Arsenal fan, I'm worried. Liverpool are too deep. It's another thing. My brother said this, so I'm not going to big him up for saying it. You're taking off Darwin Núñez, who I still think has got good quality in him, but you're bringing on Jota and Gakpo. Now, I don't think your collective is as good as the collective I'm going to mention, but it reminds me of when my club was great. And we'd have York and Cole on the pitch, Calypso football doing its thing, but we would be bringing on Sheringham and Solskjaer. I didn't care which of the 4 started with whom. It just works. They were all good. With you guys, Mo Salah's top. All the others are good, though. And it's like when you bring Jota on for Darwin Núñez, you're not dropping off, really. When Gakpo comes on, you're not really dropping a level. That's quality. It's a dangerous thing. It's a real dangerous thing indeed. It's time for the panel now. We've got Samuel, we've got Ram, we've got Man Like G, we've got Rack in the penthouse, I can see, backstage doing his thing. But viewers, do us a favor first. Hit the like button, please. Get that done. Get us past 1,000 whilst we are live. That would be very, very nice indeed. If you could do me that honor and courtesy. My friends, I appreciate it. I'm going on a diet from tomorrow as well because I'm going to sort myself out. I sort of caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror the other day. Fucking hell, I look like literally. I look like do you know what I look like? I look like a fucking big white marshmallow. And I got to sort it. Do you know what I mean? I do. I look like a frump. Do you know what I mean? That's like, oh my God, look at the state here, bro. Do you know what I mean? Ian Beale settings. Anyway, let's bring the panel out now to have their say on their team's victory. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Congratulations on the all-important win today. I want to go to you first, Ram. Scintillating, really, from you today. You absolutely cut Newcastle to ribbons.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one. I was speaking with G earlier today. I mean, just after full time. It's a weird one because we played really well, but the scoreline doesn't reflect that. I mean, we had so many chances. We cut them open whenever opportunity arises. We just didn't finish the chances off. And then when we had some elements of pressure against us, we kind of let a couple of goals in. So it's a weird one. I wouldn't say it's that straightforward. I wouldn't say, oh, it was us just absolutely nullifying. They had their chances as well. But in terms of the scoreline, it should have been 7 or 8, in my opinion. We should have pumped them. It should have been 4-0 at halftime. And that's going to probably be the biggest downfall for us because at some point, we are going to rue these chances missed. We said it at the start of the season, the defense has been the problem. Now it's the other way around. The attack is create the chances, we cut through teams, but we just can't be able to finish off those chances. And seeing as though Salah's going off to AFCON, that's another thing that we need to be a little bit concerned about. But overall, I'm going to be happy with that win, man. Very good win, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. And G, from your point of view, I know there was a lot of missed chances in the game, which I get will be a bit of a frustration, but essentially you absolutely ripped them apart today, and only conceding 4 goals kind of flatters Newcastle, really.
It flatters them, but I kind of agree with what Ram's saying, though. Like, it's weird, man. It's weird. It's like there's more to it. I feel like that game requires some level of context, almost, because as everyone saw the game, we should have scored about 8. But as Ram said, the second Newcastle, just added a bit of pressure. All of a sudden, Liverpool just looked a bit like, "Oh, okay, hold on here." You had Isak, 1 chance, goal. That's it, and that's all it took because we weren't taking our chances. And then that was just the annoying part. But I mean, when you mentioned about like the forwards and stuff like that, they're good in maybe comparison to maybe other teams, other teams' forwards who I don't really think are that good. But when you're playing for Liverpool, I'll be honest, Terry, man, I don't think that these guys are that good if you're comparing it to what we're trying to do and the type of players that they're trying to almost replace, the Gappos, the Nunez's, the Jotas. They're good in their own right. But if Salah was to like leave next season, as an example, and you told me, yeah, these are the 3-4 players that you're going to have for next season, yeah, I definitely wouldn't be looking at Liverpool with any type of threat. We've seen way too many games that these guys are not the ones to really rely on. And it really took Salah to take the mantle on himself to help the team. So it's one of those ones. But ultimately, we dominated Newcastle, man. You know what I mean? We definitely deserve the 3 points at the end of that.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing, and I want to make sure I'm hearing right and not assuming. So you're happy with the overarching performance, but is it more of a worry that there's going to be some games that maybe you drop points because the forwards are not finishing their dinner? Is that where the frustration lies? Almost like you're sort of seeing the future a little bit.
Terry, 0-0 Manchester United, 1-1 versus Arsenal. It's happened literally recently. And you get, I mean, this isn't even oh man, do you know what? This never happens. This literally happened. We had 30, how many shots against Manchester United? And you couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Embarrassing. How many shots did you have against Arsenal? You couldn't put the ball in the back of the net more than once. Come on, we're starting to get embarrassing. Then you have 34 shots today and you score 4 of them. And then you have however many missed chances that you should be putting in the back of the net. Newcastle scored 2. Only a late penalty from Salah kind of puts the game to bed almost, because even at 3-2, I'm looking at the game thinking, eesh, Newcastle might do something. And again, it's not to the overall performance in terms of the full game. Of course, we dominated Newcastle. They had maybe a 10-15 minutes in terms of the entirety of the game. But when we're looking at the little nuances of the game, man, I don't know, man. There's something about Liverpool when you watch them, they don't make it look easy, and it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah. Do you echo this Rack? Your forwards, are they good enough to shoot you to a title, or are you as frustrated with them as the boys seemingly are?
There's a degree of frustration for sure, but I think it all sits within the context of Manchester City. Right, we know the levels that Man City have reached, and therefore to reach and surpass them, we need to be, I've said it before, we need to be pretty close to perfect. And then so that's why if Man City weren't around, then I don't think we would be having this kind of you could take this kind of result. It was relatively easy to be fair, although Newcastle, there was a couple of hairy moments. But if Man City weren't around, then we'd all be way more confident, and therefore missed opportunities, not just in this game, but in other games, like Gia said, like Ram said, that they wouldn't be so potentially poignant, potentially season changing. So that's what it comes down to. Overall, happy with the game in general. First half was frustrating. Like G said, it was really frustrating because we created some really good chances. We actually played some decent football. I don't want to get on at Nunez too much, right?
Yeah, no, I get you. Do you know what? When I'm listening to you, do any of you drink wine?
Sometimes.
every now and then.
There's a point. Here's a point to this. When I was younger, I'm not earning much money. I'll be buying a Blossom Hill. Do you know what I mean? $4.99 bottle of wine. Then I made a really big. I liked it. Then I made a mistake. Once I spent like £45 on a bottle of wine. It was amazing. You then go back and buy a Blossom Hill. That shit tastes like vinegar. And I can't, maybe you guys are going through this. When you had Firmino, Mane, Salah in their pomp, that's where you want to get back to again. And I suppose I'm kind of looking at this from the outside in, going, I think your attack's really good. You're saying, bruv, it's nothing like as good as it was before. So I do get it. I do understand where you're coming from.
I understand that, because I have a little bit of a different take with this. I was actually quite proud of the performance in the way we defensively. Sometimes we switched off, but throughout the whole game, even Luis Diaz, who a lot of people, Liverpool fans, even me, have been criticising, actually played quite well today. I won't even lie, he was actually beating his man. I was shocked, he was beating his man. But one thing that about me, that our attack, I think our attack is fine. And remember, I'm actually the first one that actually said it since the Luton game, that I said our attack, there's something wrong with our attack. Our attack is not clicking. So I actually been knowing about it. In the game, Liverpool were thinking about it too much. And even the commentator was saying it. In the second half, Liverpool were more composed. Look at the pass that Salah gave to Jota. Look at the pass that Jota gave to who's the one that scored? He scored again when Jota got the assist. I completely forgot. But it was more composed. That's it. Curtis Jones. It was Curtis Jones. It was more composed. And I feel like, yes, Salah going away is going to be a big miss for us. But the fact that Jota has come back and he's a killer, for me, he's come back at the most important time. Now we need others to step up, and they have to step up, because sometimes they hide under the Salah light. There's no Salah light anymore. You have to step up now. And I also do believe that some other midfielders will step up, like Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, because they've been getting goals in as well. So I'm not worried about this January period. I'm actually quite happy. I thought it was going to be one of those games where Liverpool will have so many shots on target, so many shots, and we are just not going to score. I mean, Dubravka had the game of his life. He's
crazy.
Like, literally.
Just get a bit of echo from you there, Sam. Sorry, I want to ask about one of the players that was mentioned there in Curtis Jones, because Gary Neville said something in commentary, and I wanted to run it by you Liverpool fans. Is he starting to come of age? Is he starting to look like because he was always a player, whenever I've listened to Liverpool fans on the show in the comment section, some love him, others have sort of thought he's a little meaty, a little mid. Is he starting to prove himself as a...
I think it's... Go on.
He is. And this is why it's okay, I think, every now and then to criticize some of these younger players, but you just need to give them time and see where they land. And I didn't know whether it was going to work with Curtis Jones. I was on the fence, but I thought, let's see what happens. If it doesn't work, my expectations for young players coming through Liverpool or any other big club is, if they become good squad players, I've said it before, if they become your Wes Browns, your John O'Shea's, the guys that come in as subs and come in and do a job for you, that's all I need, because you're not paying any money for them. If they come in and do that, and you supplement your squad with other world-class players or players who go on to become world-class, that's fine. I don't necessarily need all my youth team players to become world-class. Curtis Jones is not world-class yet, but he's doing really well, and I'm really happy to see that, because he is one of our own. And I think when you have young players who come through the squad, that gives people around the club a good feeling. And I'm very happy for the kid, because he's had some tough. He's had a lot of criticism over the last couple of years.
No, I hear you on that. It's interesting, because I did a video many moons ago, and it was about Man United young players, but it was titled "You're either Mbappe or shit," and got demonetized for the swear word in the title. But it's how I sort of feel like sometimes. Well, if you're not world class at 18, I'm writing you off, and I've never really quite understood that. But he's looked really good in the last few games.
I think
he looks solid.
I think because people, he almost say burst onto the scene, but he scored that wonder goal against Everton in the FA Cup, and people were expecting that's going to be the norm of him. He's just going to score long range bangers from here on in, and that's never been his thing. He can produce that from time to time, but the one thing he's sort of worked on is that he doesn't need to do the flashy stuff, just do the simple stuff. And one thing that he's good at is he makes other people better. Like, the one thing that we've given him so much praise for, he keeps it simple, keeps the ball ticking, and he allows other players around him to look a lot better. And that's him in a nutshell. He's a very selfless player when it comes to this actual system, his actual team. That's what Jurgen Klopp likes.
Sorry,
Ram, if you got offered 50 million, would you sell
okay.
Curtis Jones?
Yes.
Sorry, say
How
that
much?
again.
50 million.
So if you got 50 million for Curtis Jones, would you sell him?
Yeah, because I reckon you could easily go and buy another player more or less exactly like him, if not better. Like, I think what Jones is he's that steady type of player. So you don't mind having someone like that in the team. And every team, I don't care who you are, top teams in the world, they all have a player or two who are just steady guys. You know what I mean? Just the guys who they come in every now and again, or they might even be playing so good that you're almost like, you know what? He just fits what I need him to do. That he listens to what the manager says, he takes on board all the information, and he can do, you know, all of those kind of things. But I think when it comes to what Terry said there about even Mbappe or shit, the problem that you've got is like when you're a top team, it really is you're Mbappe or your shit almost, because you're in a situation where it's like we don't really have time to wait until you get to the age of 24, 25, and then all of a sudden you want to start being this supposedly good player kind of thing. Like, we're a top team, we're trying to win things. Like, we haven't really got time for you to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then, you know, look at Solanke, prime example. Only now is this guy starting to score. He plays for Bournemouth. Like, Lord knows what his level is even gonna kind of be like. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, if I'm being honest, yes, you can be from the academy, and look, Real Madrid have got the Nachos of this world, who guys who've just been around for donkey's years, and it's just one of those kind of things. And you can keep those kind of players if they don't mind and understand their role. Listen, you ain't never going to be a star in this team, but guess what? You can do a job. If Jones doesn't mind that, listen, Jones, I would love for him to stay. I feel like he's got higher ambitions though, so it just depends.
That's why the point that you made about is you need to hit the ground running when it comes to Liverpool. That's why I wouldn't sell him for that amount of money, because he's already so used to the system, so used to the manager, the way we play, that bringing someone in with the same amount of money, there's going to be that element of risk. And I feel as though the risk of selling Curtis Jones and bringing someone in, it could be higher, it could be lower, but I'm not willing to take that risk. And plus, our homegrown quota stinks. It's stinky, and we need to keep as much homegrown players as possible.
Great shout. It's a great shout, boys. Obviously, we're going to I want to talk about Mo Salah in a bit. We're going to come on to Newcastle as well. 7 defeats in their last 8 games. There's a big conversation that needs to be had about that. But I have to ask you all about the penalty to make it 4-2. It's kind of killed the game off. I want to jump to Roms first on this. You just joined us. Welcome, mate. Happy New Year. A lot of people calling robbery. A lot of people saying it isn't a penalty. What did you make of it personally?
For me, it's as simple as this. Jota just had to carry on and put it in the empty net. I know there was 2 Newcastle players covering, but even if they are covering, he could check back onto his right and put it in the empty net. In my opinion, right, there was contact. I think we all agree there was contact. Was it enough? No. Did he make a meal of it? Yes, but we have seen he's given. So I know a lot of the rivals would be outraged. And you know, if that happened to a team, the opposite team, I would kind of be like, you know, we've been hard done by. But there was contact. But if we have to call a spade, he did dive. He did. For me, he should have just put it in. He should have just put it into the empty net. In my opinion, he should have just done that.
I think he's tried to sort of overcomplicate it and just win that foul, and it just looks really bad on him, really, because he's got the contact, yes, but he decides to dive. It's not like he's had to dive. He could have just put the ball in the net, like you said, but he made that choice to dive, and it's it just looks bad.
Can I be honest quickly before you go, Samuel? Yeah, I feel like the Diaz situation and the Jota situation was very similar. They should have went down as the contact was made, not kind of a second after, because it looks worse. They should have probably just went down as the contact was made. I think both cases are quite similar.
But Roms, I'm going to ask you this: how many times? Because I can draw upon what Phil Foden did last season. He tried to stay on his feet and didn't get given anything.
True.
So is it the case of we have to force players to go down to get a penalty, or do you have to do the honourable thing, which is stay on your feet, try and stay on your feet, and maybe miss an opportunity? It's just one of them ones.
I was gonna say that because I feel like in the first one, Diaz was trying to stay honest, and he realized that he's actually fouled. That's when he got down. And same with Jota, but with the Jota one, I looked at the replay and I thought, oh Jota, why did you make a meal of it? You could have actually kept on running and putting into an empty net. But then when I looked at the replay, his elbow hits his trailing leg. So if you're running at pace and you get that knock on your ankle or your foot while your trailing leg is trying to go to the front, I can understand why he fell to the ground. Yes, if it was against Liverpool, I would be raging about it. But I've seen them given before as well. So yeah,
it's such an interesting one.
Just dive.
Yeah, do you know what's interesting about it for me? Dive better, be better at diving. What frustrates me more, and I understand they said VAR is not meant to re-referee game, but I kind of want it to. Now, what example of it was allowed to stand because they could prove contact, so therefore it stood. I've seen penalties not given in real time, and then when they slow it down, you see minimal contact. Yet VAR don't overturn it. That's where, for me, I'm a little. This is not about Liverpool's decision today. It's more VAR in general. Where there was a very famous one last season against Southampton, where Rashford goes past the goalkeeper, his trailing leg gets caught by the goalie's knee as he slides out. But it wasn't. Basically, I remember listening to Ref Watch, and they said yes, there was contact, but it was very, very minimal. Therefore, it isn't a clear and obvious error. But what is? I mean, I don't. That's the element. It's either a foul or it isn't a foul. I don't care about errors or clear and obvious error. It's, well, was there contact or was there not? So I think that's more my concern.
That Man United game against Arsenal this season, Kai Havertz runs through two players and gets contact, goes to ground because he gets contact. It's overturned by VAR because there's not enough contact. So again, it's consistency. That's what I hate about this officiating in England, is the consistency of VAR.
Yeah, that's my issue. I think you're spot on. That's more my issue is surrounding that. Let's do some of these super chats, gents. This is Curtis Jones is the soldier that no one talks about. We just spoke about him, Tarek. We just spoke about him. While the attack should be finishing some of those chances, Dubravka was playing great despite letting 4 in. That's also part of it as well. Like he pulled off some saves, which I don't mean it rudely. A goalie of his level doesn't have the right to save, but they were well above his pay grade, if that makes sense. Like he was pulling off that one from Diaz with on the knee. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. I love how our fans always say should have been 4-5, 6-0 at halftime, as if that's just a regular occurrence. Every team on the planet Earth misses chances, what Mohamedou says here.
With that one, it's more of we're missing clear-cut opportunities that our strikers should be scoring. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Listen. Can we just beat that? We had 34 shots. Like, exactly. I don't care. I don't even care. Like, about it shouldn't be a regular occurrence. It should be. You're having 34 shots. Like, the ratio of goals that you're scoring isn't even making sense to the amount of shots that you're having. Like, you can't have 34 shots. And you told me in 2 games, that's about 2 against Manchester United and now against Newcastle. Your goal ratio is 4. 4 in 60 odd shots. That's
15 on target. 15 on target as well.
This brings me on to my point, right? Terry, you done with the supers?
Go on.
It's a question to the Liverpool fans, right? I just said it to Ram and G couple minutes ago in our chat. But with Salah being absent for the next month, is there a slight cause for concern? And the reason I say that to say this, Gakpo's not the most clinical. Nunes is just being Nunes of recent. And as clinical as Jota is, Jota coming off the bench being an impact player and Jota starting are 2 different Diogo Jotas, and we know this. Like, I don't want to put a negative spin on it, but we know Jota to start games before his injury. Sometimes the game would pass him by. Sometimes he would even miss gilt-edged chances. So this is like Samuel, Ram. What's your thoughts on this? Because I feel like there might be a slight cause concern, and Diaz as well. Diaz isn't the most clinical, so I don't know you lot's thoughts.
before you came in, I think we did actually answer that, but I'll repeat what I said. Earlier.
Sorry, I didn't watch the.
No, it's cool.
How dare you?
Hopefully there's no echo. Is there
That's
echo?
good. No, it's fine. Now it's all sorted now, bro.
So what I said before was that Salah going is going to be a big miss, but when it comes to it, when I was watching the match, I felt like a lot of the times Liverpool were overthinking, and a lot of the games where we are missing big chances, we're overthinking these chances. When it got down to we were staying composed, we actually scored the goals. Look, if you look at the passes that Jota, Salah were giving, like we were just passing it across the goal and for tap-ins. One thing I did say is that when Salah goes, there's not going to be the light of Salah shone on the attack anymore. So other players cannot hide.
Yeah.
So so you have to step up now with Salah gone, and I do believe, and I'm having hope that other players will step up because you don't have Salah, so you're gonna have to do something now. You're gonna.
Do you know what, Samuel?
I was going to say. Go ahead, Rams.
I was going to say it can go one of two ways. Yeah, pressure makes diamonds. Normally, they could relish the pressure, or they could completely just be scared of it. So it's either going to go one way or the other.
It's just going to say our manager hasn't been in this. It's not something new to him. Like we were in this position 2 years ago. I think Mane and Salah were both going to AFCON, and turned out the most unlikely hero, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, was actually
and
Fabinho as well. We're doing a matter during that period. So it works one or two ways. Like as in, it's obviously going to be a big miss, but certain players you don't realize or you don't think is gonna come around will come up and do the business. You know what I mean? So we just have to wait and see, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think your players will step up. To be fair, this super chat here, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Is it Soren? I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to call you bruv. All right, bruv. I'm awful.
So it's Cern. It's Cern. It's a Danish name, Cern.
Cern.
Cern. Yeah.
So, see, that's pronounced Cern. See, for me, reading that and that says Cern, that my dyslexic brain goes, what the fuck does that mean? I don't get it.
Thank you. I would have said Soren.
Yeah, same as me.
Yeah,
I
live in Denmark. That's why I know.
There we go. Yeah, it's that O, bruv, that looks like Saturn, isn't it? With a ring thing around it, like it's. I don't know what to do. My dyslexic little brain just goes. When I see a name like that, honestly, my dyslexia talks to me. It goes, "Oh my god, there's a problem!" It literally is like an alarm going off. It's like someone's burnt the toast. There's an alarm going off in my head. Push Soboslai to the right wing and have Elliott be the right midfield in Salah's absence. We'll miss Endo.
I think Soboslai's injured. I think he came off holding.
Yeah, he looked hammy, didn't he?
So
just what we need.
It might be. I think in some games he might put Elliott on the right because the last game that Elliott started on the right, he actually played quite well. It will be a mix up between Jota, Nunes, Gakpo, and what's his name, Diaz. But we will just see.
Yeah. Lamar says. As a Liverpool fan, I agree we are looking for issues because of City. We aren't a finished product yet, but we are getting there. The front three has to grow. Fair point. Curran's back with us again here. Thank you, Curran. He says, I think Curtis is world class. What we need in midfield, composed control and score. He does everything. He's the only player in midfield who holds the ball.
Can I just say, calm down, please. He's a steady player. He's improved 100%. He makes the midfield very, very balanced. I've given him his praise because I didn't rate him before, but he's ironed out his deficiencies. So I'm giving props for that. But for me, going on the midfield, I am so glad McAllister is back.
Yeah.
Because you see that ball that he gave to Jota? Oh my gosh. We've been missing that. We've actually been missing that. So I'm so glad he's back.
He's the only one that really plays that forward. We're expecting it from Szoboszlai, but we know he's having a dip. You know what? It might even not be a dip in form anymore. I still rate him, but this is now getting concerning. Whenever we're on the break, he's indecisive. He's making the wrong decisions. But McAllister, when he came on, I'm happy you mentioned it, Samuel, because I was about to. I think he was excellent. That little cameo we've missed, just them forward penetrative passes, we've missed that recently, 100%.
Yeah, now listen, I wouldn't say world class either, but I think he's a talented player. sorry, Jimmy O'Hare, I can read that name. I was about to say it's very British, no, it's very Irish, but big up Jimmy boy. Jimbo, when people need to start explaining in granularity, I know what the word is, that word, as to why a penalty is a penalty, then it is not a penalty. Screaming when a hair brushes you nuts. It's a fair point. He also goes on to say here, Jimmy, in the super chat, I've seen them given translator absolutely never an effing penalty, but I'm getting you to cheating being rewarded.
I'm gonna respond to that because these are one of the type of fans that will call out one thing but don't call out the other. Because we've spoken about the penalty, but Joelinton should have got 2 yellow cards, and nobody's really spoken about that because the first tackle he made. On who was it that was? I think it was Curtis Jones or Diaz that was going through on the counter attack. Soberslai. He pulled him down, and the referee did not give him a yellow card. So he should have had 2 yellow cards
with two arms.
Exactly,
both shoulders.
Not to mention he fully pushed Luis Diaz like 10 minutes later and didn't get a yellow card for that as well when he was running through on goal.
But hey,
just saying.
Listen, people have agendas. Agendas need to start agending with them, but. It is what it is.
I hear you there. This here says, guys, people need to judge City on this season, not previous seasons. KDB is a great player, but he's 33, returning from a long layoff, not 27, 28.
I'm not going to count. I'm not doing that. He is technically one of the greatest players of the generation. And to say that, no. Even if he's 33, 35, or even 21, I'm not counting him out. It's Kevin De Bruyne.
I said the season we finished a point behind City, the most recent season when we finished a point behind City, I kind of felt in deep down I kind of hoped the same thing. I thought, you know what, he's injured, maybe he's going to come back, he's not going to be off, he's not going to be on it.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne won them that league. Kevin De Bruyne won them that league.
I think, like I said about everyone wishing that you guys play badly when Salah goes, I think that's going to galvanize your team. I reckon we should just leave the KDB. Let's not motivate him. Let's not motivate him to be better. Do you know what I mean? Keep our mouths shut. This Arsenal brother is chatting crap. Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't touch Havertz. Is that Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Oh, didn't touch Havertz at all. That's why it wasn't given. That is true. I'm just remembering that challenge now. There was 0 contact, bruv, to be fair. He fell over himself. But by the way, I want to ask you, Matt, everybody's welcome on the football terrace. How comes you're here, though, bruv? Just wanted to, you must be here to say something. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, Matty boy.
This game was probably one of the best of the season. It literally had everything in it. Like, it was end to end. The home team, I think that was Liverpool, played brilliantly, and I just wanted to appear on here and just applaud them, really, because that was just a beautiful game to watch. Like, that really was. Like, apart from the ref and the VAR, that game was brilliant to watch. Like, that goalkeeper for Newcastle, top draw, and I believe he's their backup keeper as well. Top draw.
Matt, I must say that didn't seem like it in the group chat.
I can't lie.
No, the energy seemed real different.
Yeah, the energy
I'm not as active in the group chat as I always used to be, but every time I come in there, Matt's always on a mad one. Do you know what I'm saying, bro? And watching you looking all young and fresh faced, sitting there with your glasses, and this is what it would look like if Harry Potter did gaming, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? This is what it feels like to me. Just looking at you. Before we get on to Newcastle, Mo Salah, gentlemen. Some Liverpool fans a few weeks ago were calling for him to be sold. A lot of rivals were telling you all that he was absolutely finished. But Rom's another masterclass from your greatest ever Premier League player today.
You know what? You know what, right?
Terry knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing. Put it like this: when our fan base has compared him to certain other players, Ram, they know my thoughts. I haven't really got in there. But listen, in terms of his output, it's undeniable. It is undeniable. I would actually go as far to say he is our greatest ever Premier League player. I know some people say just the importance he was for us, but the numbers speak for itself, and you have to factor in the Premier League. I know it hurts for us that Gerald didn't win one, but he has won one. So therefore, in that debate, you now have to put him in the greatest Premier League player for us. But he's undeniable, and we will miss him. We will miss him, and yeah, it's the next month. It's going to be really interesting in the rest of our front nine. But I have to give him his credit, man. He's a joke, and even now him becoming a facilitator, the outside of the book, he's kind of mastered that. That's his trademark thing now. He's been doing that for the past 2-3 seasons. But yeah, he is phenomenal. I just don't really like when he gets compared to certain other players. That's all. That's all I would say.
Like who?
Well,
Like
I
who?
pray
Like,
he wins.
for
AFCON.
me,
wait.
like
Don't you dare.
your Hazard, your Neymar, for
Oh,
me, they're
no.
like they're real naturally gifted footballers. I can respect the output, the legacy and stuff, but when our family starts saying he's a better footballer, you can say career, I agree, but footballer, the natural ability.
Can I ask you a question? So
I test
don't-
my
if you
degree.
could rewind time when you signed Mo Salah, but we could go back to there now, and you're the only one who knows we've gone back to that point. But you had the option to not sign Salah, and you could swap him out for Eden Hazard. Would you go if you could go back in time, knowing what we know? Would you sign Eden Hazard over Mo Salah?
No,
Be truthful.
no, I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean I think he's the better footballer. But I
But it
wouldn't
does.
because
But it does.
It doesn't.
See,
Because-
this is why it does. Because I understand what you're saying. As a technical footballer, Eden Hazard is better. But the fact that you wouldn't sign Eden Hazard over Mo Salah means, in the reality of professional football, being part of an 11-man, 11 men on the pitch team, you wouldn't pick Eden Hazard over him. That's what a footballer is for me. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And
No.
I think that's a conversation that never happens. I get what you mean by technical footballer, but if you wouldn't sign Hazard over Mo Salah, you don't think he's a better professional football player. You can't.
no,
You just said it.
no. What it is I feel that Salah he's more effective within a game, and
Exactly.
ultimately,
I
and
don't
no,
even
but it
wanna
doesn't
play
mean
more
no, but
effective.
Terry, it doesn't mean he's the better footballer. That's what I'm trying to
Why?
say. He's more effective,
But
You're an
first of all,
eye
you have-
test merchant.
first of
That's
all,
all,
because
bro.
Salah-
I'm not
First
fully
of all-
testament.
But first of all, then you need to define what you mean by better footballer, right? That's the starting point of that argument. In coaching terms, most people define there's 4 facets of being a footballer: technical, tactical, physical, and mental. Okay, let's give the technical aspect to Hazard, right? Even though Mo finishes better than him and all that kind of, let's give that to him. Is he better physically than Salah? Is he better mentally than Salah? And is he? What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was.
Tactical.
Mentally, I'd say
tactical.
it's quite even, because this is not another thing I'll give to the Neymar and Hazard.
No, but he's been eating burgers for the last 3 years. That's part of being mental.
Cool.
But you know, you said a good thing there, Rack. I love what you said. It's about defining what you. And I never really thought about this too deeply until we're talking about it now. And I don't know why I've never thought about this. I understand on a technical level what people consider to be a good footballer, but I consider the better footballers to be the more effective. And I don't care what it looks like. You know, if you have a goalie that looks brilliant, but you've got another goalie that looks worse, but he saves more shots, his distribution is better, you wouldn't pick the guy that looks technically better. You'd pick the guy that saves more. So for me, the efficiency matters more than the technical ability. Now, if you've got great technical ability and you've got great efficiency, then fair enough. I find it interesting. I get your point, and everyone's allowed favorite players, and there's how a player makes you feel. But I just can't believe you said Hazard's better, but you wouldn't sign him over Mo Salah. That to me, as a football person, don't make sense.
I hear what you're saying. But for me, yes, I can agree more effective, but I don't know. Maybe it's just down to preference. Maybe it is a step confusing. Maybe I'm an artist merchant.
Rums, it's okay. It's okay. Listen, it's okay.
Some people get things wrong.
This feels like an intervention here, bro. We're going to sit down. We're going to take it.
It's okay.
It was an interview. No,
Yeah,
I do get you those points. I've never disregarded other people's points, but I think it's just down to my preference. But I love what you've done. It's not like I don't like the player. What G and Rap sometimes do that. You don't like him. It's not that. I just feel like when you compare, it's like automatically people think you don't like the player. It's not that at all. It's just
that's the way the world is now, isn't it? It's like, do you want a pepperoni pizza? No, I don't fancy that. Why'd you hate pepperoni?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right.
Sorry, who would you sign?
Mo Salah every day of the week. For me, I respect how good Eden Hazard is, but I will go again. I judge players on 4 key pillars: technical ability, of course. If we're looking at attackers here, their outputs and the consistency of their output, and then you look at their longevity, and we know that Mo Salah is going to last longer than Eden Hazard, and then you look at the trophies that they've won and how important they've been. And Eden Hazard ticks a lot of them boxes, but overall, Mo Salah is going to score. I think Mo Salah has scored or assisted in Right, 87 to 90% of the games he played for Liverpool, where Eden Hazard at Chelsea, for instance, he was at around 55, 60%. Very efficient as well. But I'm going for somebody that's scoring and assisting in 20 to 25% more games, because that's probably going to help my team win more. And that's all I really care about. Does that make sense? You know, that's how I've always looked at football. Strangely, I thought that's how everyone did. And I grew up and I realized, no. Some people genuinely think like Adel Taarabt is better than Marcus Rashford. I know Rashford stinks at the minute, but some people believe that because he does great tricks. But my respect for them is that's how you view football, and I'm going to leave it to you. Do you know what I mean? Some people think like the freestyle footballers are like the bomb. But there's a reason they're freestyle footballers and not playing pro football, but each to their own. I've got an interesting comment here. It says, Terry, where is the scary Liverpool title? Bro,
You actually tweeted it. You actually just tweeted it. Liverpool.
The title of this video is Liverpool Are Frightening. It's an interesting one here. Liverpool frightening. I used to pray for times like this. Yes, sir. I actually had someone just DM me saying, I'm so happy we got a scary title. It's weird that people think that about my videos, but thank you. It's very humbling for me. I'm just a mere mortal. Only thing finished about Salah is his hairline. Yeah, I did think that today a bit. Like I did. Yeah, he's keeping it long for a reason, isn't he?
It's long.
He's clinging onto it, man. He's clinging onto it.
Mate, I thought you have a proper good transplant, bro. Ring me up, Mo. Record for Roma was insane, though. So still Salah.
Yeah, he was
Hazard Premier League trophies equals 2. Salah Premier League trophy equals 1. GA or trophies, I prefer trophies.
But to win a trophy, it's a team effort, and that's why I'd have Sanchez over Eden Hazard, because goal scoring wise, he had a better goal scoring season than Hazard.
I definitely take Hazard over Man United's Alexis Sanchez.
Okay, yeah.
Since joining Liverpool, Salah has missed 10 games, 7 wins, 2 draws. That's pretty
crazy.
Again, the physical point. That's the physical attribute, right? You need to be fit.
Yeah,
I agree. No, Rash, I agreed with that point. 100%. There's no debate when it comes to the physical point.
Genuine question: is Ronaldinho no longer one of the greatest of all time anymore because he's only had 4 or 5 world class? No, 4 or 5 world class seasons is ridiculously good. It's
Exactly.
What's happened? I'll be honest with you, Jimmy. It's a great question. He still is. Messi and Ronaldo have broken the barometer. That's the problem. What they did for 15 years or so apiece is alien.
Yeah.
They for me are above everybody else because of their longevity at that level. Even though at their peaks, Ronaldinho's, R9's players, Zidane's players like this at their peak, a lot of people say, their peak maybe were better than this guy or better than that guy. But the longevity element, Messi, by the way, is still the best. Yeah, it's but no, he still is. He's still in that category of one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Because Onana is better on the eye before you signed him. I just don't want to talk about Man United today, really, Sam. Best I can, bro. But I hear you. Newcastle, 7 defeats. 7 defeats in 8 games. Is it time to sack your manager?
The team died on Tuesday versus Forest. Today was the funeral. The burial is coming on Saturday. That's all I really have to say.
What more can Newcastle do, though? Like, seriously, because the amount of injuries they've got, what more can they actually do, though?
Bro,
like,
everyone is.
Am I not seeing their 20 list of injuries or something like that?
Yes, that's a factor. But are we just going to use this until the end of time?
Well, no,
at some point, it has to just be like, let's look at what we're looking on at the screen or at the game. Let's look at what we're seeing. Our defense is completely, it's dead. Mo Salah, all he had to do tonight, and he's brilliant at it, so it makes it even worse, hence the scoreline. And outside of Dubravka, it should have been about, 10, 12. You pick a number, a big number. Outside of that, you go to the right and you square it to the middle, you'll probably score, or you have to force a wonder save out of Dubravka that he usually doesn't make. So that's a big problem. And that's not the first time I've seen that this season, away from home in particular. Before the injury crisis, for example, Brighton away, where they destroyed us 3-1. Where did both the goals come from in the reverse fixture? Right-hand side, Nunez brace. Bam, bam. Done. We can't hold the lead. We can't hold the results.
Do you have to look at your manager? A crazy stat. In the last 25 days, Newcastle have lost more games than they did in the entirety of last season.
There you go.
I know you've got injuries. I understand that. But with the club that's got the ambitions to get to the very top, do you at this point have to look at sacking this manager, or is this the time to persevere, in your opinion?
No, I think a parting of the ways is inevitable, to be honest. I just look. It is what, bro. I'm gonna say it again. On Tuesday, I saw the death of the team. Today was the funeral, and the burial is on Saturday when we inevitably lose to Sunderland. And this is the other big problem. How can I predict every single away game with such freakish accuracy and then it happens? That's not a good sign. Football's supposed to be a bit unpredictable.
It is if you're putting bets on it.
Well, I don't. So I'm
send me your predictions before I'm gonna make some money off you, bruv. Like Mystic Meg.
Put a bet on Sunderland to win. Put on a bet for Villa to win. Put on a bet for Forest to win. We aren't winning an away game possibly until March.
Steve, can I ask you a question? I
Go on.
was going to ask. Do you think Eddie Howe's one-dimensional?
Yeah.
Because what I realized in the beginning of the season, especially when we played you in a reverse fixture, you guys really should have won that game.
Oh, yeah.
But like your game management and the way you play, I don't think you have like Eddie Howe has like a plan A, or no, it's not plan A, a plan B or plan C that he can change to, because there was two games. Was it back to back when you played Man City and then you played Liverpool, where Man City outpassed you, and then they just scored, and then with us because we had to, because of 10 men, we had to sit back and then just counter attack you. And I've seen, especially Nottingham Forest, the way they outplayed you with Chris Wood, giving you something to think about.
Hey, the Milan game. 1-0 lead first half. We're in second place going into halftime because Dortmund are drawing with Paris Saint-Germain. What more can we ask for? What more? Like my biggest problem with Eddie Howe right now and the team, I'm not going to absolve them of criticism because they only seem like they want to turn up at St. James's Park. And now that's out the bin because they're losing to Forest. So who the hell should I have any confidence going up against it at St. James's Park?
I think it's difficult.
Steve,
it's so difficult because this Newcastle team. I think we can agree. I want to think certain people would agree that you guys overachieved to an extent with what you did with last season. No one thought you were going to get Champions League football, and then you went out. Obviously, the Tonali signing. Obviously, you can't use them anymore because of what's happened and the injuries that you've got. It's such a difficult position Eddie Howe's in. And also the fact that you were knocked out of the Champions League the way you were. Not even getting into Europe, you're knocked out of Europe entirely, and you put so much emphasis because you were at the start of the group, you beat PSG and everything like that. It's a lot. It's so difficult for you guys just to expect results on the first, like every now and again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the thing, dude. We're putting ourselves in winning positions and dropping points over and over.
There is a downers element here. Sorry, go on, Rom.
I've got a quick question for you, Steve. Don't you think potentially Howe could get some of the fans that want him out on board on Saturday? Because the magnitude of that game, the atmosphere, it's going to be crazy. What's the first derby in 3-4 years? You know better than me. I know it's been
seven.
Exactly. I thought it was around 3 or 4. But the game, the magnitude of that game, and how much it's going to mean. Do you reckon if he gets a win, because I know it's at the Stadium of Light, isn't it? You're away from home. And I think your record's not even the greatest. I saw something today. But if he gets a win, and not just a win, a convincing, I think just the win will be enough for your fans, obviously bragging rights, etc. But if he gets a convincing win, could that maybe sway you, or maybe it could be a catalyst in better results or a turning point in your season?
Yeah, it's life or death at this point. It is life or death.
Yeah, if he loses, he's got to win big, and he's gonna have to win big as well. He can't just scrape one win.
Yeah. No. I'm not even asking for a big win. Just win the damn game away from in James's Park. I'm serious, and that's the thing. I don't have crazy expectations for Newcastle. I just want us to be better than the 19th best team away from home.
Yeah,
Out of
no,
a
I agree.
possible 33 points this season in the Premier League, we've picked up 5.
Yeah, that's nowhere near the level. I agree.
I
There's a
expect
super chat
a
here.
little better,
Yeah. Sorry, mate. This here from D-Town. Thank you, bro. Amazing donation. Thank you. He says, everyone has injuries, but Newcastle's are by far the worst with the amount of important first-team players that are out. Reminds me of Liverpool when we played with the kids at centre-back and relied on Alisson to score to get us into the top 4. Listen, I think it's a fact. I think it's a factor. I think it's a factor. There's no doubt. But it's more to it than just that. And I think Steve's right to call that out as well. Liverpool fan here says greatness is legacy. In 50 years, when fans talk Liverpool from 93 to 2004, the first thing that will be spoken about will be Gerrard and Istanbul. Salah can get there. Disagree. And I'll tell you why. Gerrard will always be remembered at Liverpool. What Gerrard did, his best moments at Liverpool were nearly all 20 years plus ago. In 50 years' time, who the hell's going to be alive that even remembers that? It'll get discussed. even what's that's not even a dig. Like in 50 years' time,
it's true. How many young
I'm
Liverpool fans talk about
50
Roger
years,
Hunt?
I'm probably not dead as well. Do you know what I'm saying? But
Even this
Yeah.
generation,
Not
the generation
not
of
many
Liverpool
young
fans
Liverpool-
don't talk about Gerrard.
No, but how many young Liverpool fans nowadays talk about Roger Hunt? It's probably an unfair point.
exactly, yeah. And that's not a dig. Gerrard will always be remembered, but you'll be surprised how much it'll change in 50, 60 years. It'll always be remembered, though, Gerrard. Of course he will. Of course he will. Look, boys, I want to thank you all for coming on. I know it's New Year's Day and everybody's sweating out the alcohol and food from yesterday, getting ready for their detox from tomorrow. Some people are doing it, some people are not. Congratulations to Liverpool on, someone here said who. Make sure you hit the like button before you leave and subscribe. Back tomorrow with more content for you. Lee Gunner and I on Straight Facts and a few other shows. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll speak to you all again soon. Peace.